So let's talk about non-duality and individuation. Because if you study any kind of non-dual philosophy, especially A Course in Miracles, then these questions, I'm sure, have arisen in you, as they have me. And some Course in Miracles students can look at something like, say, A Course of Love and find contradiction. But where are the contradictions really? And I'll get back to that later. So let's go deep in this and see if individuation and non-duality can actually be reconciled. So A Course in Miracles teaches pure non-duality. And it's a work supposedly written by Jesus, who incidentally is an individual. But obviously Jesus is not an individual in what the world would consider an individual to be. As Jesus, and this is the path of all of us, is one with God. So there's no distinction between where God ends and Jesus begins. So therefore, the name Jesus is really just a name or a symbol. I and my Father are one, as he would say. Yet isn't it also true that Jesus, although he is one with God, is still an individuated aspect or a unique ray of the one sun? And the sun has many, many rays, but yet they're all still the sun. They're all from the same source, yet every ray is still its own unique ray and shines in its own unique way. So you could say that we and everything are like rays of the sun. But we don't know that because we don't remember that we're all rays from the one sun and the one source. And so the separate self, the ignorant, unconscious ego self, is what A Course in Miracles really helps us to let go of, and really helps us to face that fear of annihilation that the ego dreads, and to walk through it. And once we face that fear of annihilation and we walk through that fear, we kind of expect our individuation to disappear. But yet, if you've experienced that state of oneness, you know that the I, which is the same I that identified as the ego and the body and the separate self, is the same I that now identifies as the one, as everythingness. But yeah, it's the same I. You still know yourself as I. And so instead of the I identifying with the ego and the dreams and the unconscious, it's now identifying with its real self, God, everything. Infinite, pure consciousness. God is, I am, I guess is the best way I can put it. So if you've broken free of the ego enough to no longer be identifying with the world, the body, the separate self, and the world or anything at all externally no longer offers anything to you, then ACIM has done its job and it's freed you from the illusion. And if it has served its purpose, I mean, yeah, you definitely know it. And for me, it felt like that terror of annihilation and kind of jumping through it and taking that leap of faith, crossing that gap, I guess, from the unconscious to the conscious. And yeah, really getting to the other side of that fear. And so I did that during a similar process to what I described in a previous video I did called Where is the I? And after that was an experience of peace and happiness, which I've never experienced anything like before. And it was an experience that lasted just over a week. And it was all the time. So all my other experiences had pretty much been in meditation. Besides, seeing, as A Course in Miracles describes, like seeing lights and this, that, and the other, which happened occasionally. But this was the first real experience that lasted the amount of time that it did, and not just in meditation, all the time. And it was absolutely amazing. And so, yeah, the point in saying this is that you definitely know when A Course in Miracles has done its job and served its purpose. And to me, it feels like A Course in Miracles was written the way that it was to really kind of lead you into that fear and that terror of annihilation, which all of us have, all egos have that same fear, and to really kind of lead us into it and bring it to the surface in order to face it, heal it, and let it go, or forgive it, as the Course would say. And we really do need tough love at that point in the journey, because our fear and our denials are really so strong. But what I've kind of found is that once you've faced that fear and you've faced your denials, then you kind of can leave A Course in Miracles behind as well. And I'm not saying you stop practicing forgiveness, of course not. But you realize that it was a work designed to free you from the ego in a language that best served that purpose, and in a way that best led the mind through the labyrinth of the unconscious mind. So yeah, I guess my point is that A Course in Miracles isn't a religion, and it's not your identity. And of course, the world and our body is obviously not our ultimate reality, but it's also how our individuated ray of the one sun remembers itself through the world and through the body. So therefore, how can it be anything other than divine, really, even if it is an illusion? It's a divine illusion. And just like A Course in Miracles, once the world and the body's purpose has been served and all the lessons have been learned, it can be let go of as well. So once A Course in Miracles has served its purpose, what you actually find is that a whole new stage of learning occurs. And yeah, that stage still involves some pretty challenging forgiveness lessons, but those lessons are really showing you how to love and helping us to remember how to be the love that we are again. And also, once you've faced the annihilation of the ego and the fear and the terror involved, and you've given up the false self, what you then tend to find is that you're still harboring remnants of unworthiness. And we tend to not give ourselves credit and not see how far we've come, because there's still that kind of deep unconscious unworthiness that we don't feel worthy of God's love. We don't feel good enough. We feel like we have to do more and more and more. Obviously is just those remnants of the ego still trying to chip away at you. So then that unworthiness needs to be looked at, brought to the surface, released and forgiven. And it's then that you learn real confidence. And I don't mean anything like the arrogance of the ego. It's not that at all. It's a real confidence of knowing yourself and knowing exactly who you are. It's an unshakable confidence that nothing in the world can shake. And so yeah, if your inner teacher guides you to A Course of Love or any other book, whatever it might be, follow your intuition and forget about the seeming contradictions. Because you'll find that what's actually happening is that your inner teacher is leading you into these contradictions, because all of these contradictions have to be reconciled in your own mind in order for you to be more of who you are. And confusion really can be a great teacher, despite what some Course in Miracles teachers say. Because it leads you into a greater awareness of who you are. And it really focuses your mind and directs your mind into receiving the answers that you need, rather than just staying stuck and not following your intuition and your inner teacher and just kidding yourself that all the answers lie in one book, because they don't. The answers lie in you, where they've always been. So my point is really just to put all trust and all faith into yourself and into your inner teacher, and be willing to let go of anything and everything when it no longer serves you, and to embrace contradictions. Because if you really do understand A Course in Miracles, then you understand that if you're seeing any contradiction of any kind in your experience, then the only contradiction must be within yourself. Till next time.